Well, guys, as promised, the main event said he was going to go live, and that's exactly what he is doing. Right here, this is the last episode of the main event talk for 2018. I am the main event player, the Super C, the God among gods, the King among kings, the coolest son of a motherfucking bitch walking God's green earth. I been thinking a lot about what I was gonna do for my. At first, my original plan was not to do a main event talk live at all, but then I thought, you know what? This is 2018. We need to come to a close, and also we need to reveal some things that my thoughts about 2018 and everything, and why this is all coming about and everything. So I decided that okay, we're gonna do a little bit of a year in review special. But for those of you that are watching this episode right now, especially everyone that's watching on YouTube right now as we speak, and also this is also being displayed on my Facebook page, my actual Facebook page of the Main Event Talk, and it's also being displayed on my actual Facebook, mine. This is the first of two, and I announced this on Instagram earlier. Well, not, earlier last night. I announced that I was going to be doing not one but two live episodes. So this is the first live episode. The second one is going to take place live on Facebook, and I plan on putting that out later on. I don't plan on putting it now, just like that and everything else like that, just to get everybody going. And I see my boy, and I see him right there. Peter, Happy New Year to you and everything. Hope 2019 becomes a good year for you and everything else like that. And I sure hope it becomes a good year for me in any way possible. So, guys, we're going to review a lot of the things that have been happening in 2018. And plus, I get an opportunity for the first time to reveal to some of you as to why the show has not been going on YouTube and going on Facebook and everything. So you guys will get an opportunity to hear about that. And plus, part of this episode, I'm going to talk about some of the things that have been happening in wrestling, and then there are certain things that I'm going to reveal on the next episode, which is going to be very, very rare for everyone to watch. So before I go ahead and give you my all-time deal as to what's going to happen, I have decided that I think I'll go ahead and start off with the 4 picks. That's right. I know there's some people that are dying to wonder as to who I think is going to win the 2019 Royal Rumble that's going to take place over in Phoenix next month, or actually, well, within next year anyway, to find out as to who they are. Now, before I talk about the picks, I want to talk about some of the controversy surrounding the Royal Rumble. Now, everybody has been talking about this whole thing with Becky Lynch versus Asuka for the Women's Championship, and it's a supposed quote-unquote rematch, which it's not really a rematch. It's actually supposed to be a first time ever. So, this was revealed about maybe a week ago, I think, because Becky Lynch and Asuka seems awesome for the Royal Rumble. I dig it. I love it. But the problem with that is it made official? Is there anything that beyond that, and has WWE actually agreed to it? Now, some people have been saying, oh, well, WWE posted this already, and it was already showing up and everything, and I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit, unless it was just on there for that one slight moment, and all of a sudden they took it off. Because anytime when something's being posted from the WWE Twitter or WWE Facebook, or even showed up on YouTube, you know it's official, you know it's there, everyone's going to want to watch it. You're going to have to bear with me because my nose is sort of, I'm still kind of feeling sick from a couple weeks ago. And the NyQuil's not doing shit for me. But anyway, everybody talks about how the WWE always posts something official, and this is the match, and this is what's going to happen. But the whole thing with Becky Lynch and Asuka, I don't think that's going to happen. And also, something else could change. Now, I want to also point out something, and I want to apologize up front here on this live episode, where I mentioned that Paige coming out of retirement and going after the championship. That's not the case. That's not going to happen. I think Paige had revealed something on Twitter, and it mentioned that she wanted to book the match, and she actually wanted to book the match between Asuka and Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship while she was general manager. Now, I want to talk about that possibly in this episode later on. But anyways, the matchup between Asuka and Becky Lynch, it's still up in the air, and nothing's been official as of yet. But until something is official, the main event will probably give you guys an idea of what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and how will this roll. So, therefore, as of now, until something changes, Becky Lynch will not be taking on Asuka for the SmackDown Women's Championship. It's badass. It's tremendous. But we'll have to find out possibly in 2019 to see if it's going to actually happen. Oh, and by the way, everybody knows that tonight is Monday Night Raw. Everybody knows that tomorrow night is is SmackDown Live. But did you know that Monday Night Raw was this past Friday night and SmackDown was this past Saturday? Did you know that? No, you didn't, because the tapings took place on Friday and Saturday, because obviously we're just going to be watching the tapings on Monday, today and tomorrow, because with New Year's Day and New Year's Eve coming, obviously the superstars are going to be, out with their families and having themselves a real good New Year's Eve and everything, and then we'll begin 2019 next week. For them, it's next week anyway. For us, it's tomorrow. So there was a lot of things and one of these things that I don't like revealing spoilers, and I'm not going to do that to you guys, because I don't like revealing something that has already happened and nobody's seen it. I like to be very opinionative and say this is going to happen. That's my opinion. It'll show up, and sometimes it shows up, and sometimes it don't. And in this case, I'm not going to reveal anything that happened, but I will bring up two people just to give everyone an idea. SmackDown Live. Becky Lynch, John Cena. That's all you have to know. You'll see that happening in 2019, starting tomorrow. Okay? So, as far as the Royal Rumble goes, well, I guess it's time to reveal the 4 picks, right? Who are the 4 individuals that the main event has decided to pick? Now, why 4? Why do I have to pick just 4? Why can't I pick just 1? Yeah, why does everybody go for the bucket of chicken and decide to go for more than 1 pick? Why do everyone go to McDonald's and get their hands on a 20-piece McNugget and they want to go for 10? Why is that? Everyone wants to pick 1. Have you ever heard the old expression, like potato chips? You can't eat just 1. And in the Royal Rumble, and just like how it is now, you can't pick just 1. You can't. You'd be stupid to pick 1. Oh, well, I'll pick Seth Rollins because I think he's badass. No, I'm gonna pick one of the NXT stars. I'll pick Aleister Black because he'll be in it. Or I will pick, let's see, how about Kurt Angle? I'll pick him. No. How about I pick this, I pick that, I pick this, I pick that, I pick this, I pick that. Here's the thing. For a long time, the Royal Rumble has always had 30 superstars. It did have 40 back in 2011, although I really wish they would bring that back again. And even though they did they did 2 Royal Rumbles this year, believe it or not. And the funny thing about that is the Royal Rumble had always been 30. Then they went 40. And I thought, I said years ago that it would be amazing if they did 50. Now, they did do that this year, but it was in Saudi Arabia. And I know there's some people that... Sorry. I'm trying to do this live, and I'm being sick as it's happening. Now, they did do the 50. It took place over in Saudi Arabia, and I know there's a lot of people that probably want my opinions about what I thought about that Royal Rumble. First of all, I'm glad that they did 50. Secondly, that should have happened in the United States. Thirdly, and more importantly, why in the hell, and I've said this already, I'm going to reveal a few things in this to kind of show about what's going on. Why in the world would they want to go to Saudi Arabia? I guess it's a first ever, and I guess it's something that the WWE has always wanted to do. And plus, Saudi Arabia basically slapped down, I don't know how much money on Vince McMahon, and they wanted to go ahead and take it upon themselves to go ahead and have the greatest Royal Rumble ever, so it happened. So we had a greatest Royal Rumble that broke records, a lot of records. Braun Strowman was the winner of that Royal Rumble, of the 50 Royal Rumble. And what was so cool about that one is Braun Strowman got to have a belt on that one. That was cool. But what should have happened, and call me crazy, call me stupid, in every Royal Rumble event, somebody wins and then moves on to WrestleMania, right? That happens. Why wouldn't they? Oh, I don't know. Give Braun Strowman an opportunity at the title at say, I'm venturing to guess SummerSlam. Why not do that? That way, Braun Strowman would have not only have been the winner of the greatest Royal Rumble ever, he will also have won Money in the Bank, and also would have been the number one contender to take on Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. That should have happened at SummerSlam. But it is what it is, and everything else like that. Although there was this one thing that I saw, and I know everybody remembers this one. Do you remember Titus O'Neil? Yeah, you remember Titus O'Neil, right? He comes out, he runs over to the ring right there, and all of a sudden, he did the most funniest thing. I've seen a lot of crazy things that have happened in the Royal Rumble. This was the funniest thing I've ever seen. He runs down to the ring. He's ready to go through. And yeah, he went through all right. He went through the ring. And I'm not talking about through the ring and beating ass. No, he went through the ring acting like an ass. That's exactly what happened to him. He ran. He tripped. He went right through the ring. He's like, oh, fuck, where'd he go? God damn, he went right through there. Shit. Damn. Titus O'Neil, my God. And if there was ever the funniest moment in the history of, apparently I see a call right here in front of me, which I'll probably have to get to in a moment. I can't get to it just yet because I'm doing this live episode. I apologize. Let me see. Anyways, the whole thing with Titus O'Neil at the Royal Rumble, at the greatest Royal Rumble ever, was the funniest moment ever. I dig that. But the whole point of the 30-man over the top rope and everything else like that is everyone always picks one superstar. Years ago, it was always about one superstar that anyone could pick. But now, then, comes the brand extension. Comes Raw, comes SmackDown. So you can't just go ahead and automatically just pick one. You got to pick at least two. Say 2005. On the Raw side, you had, if I can think of a name off the top of my head, I think it was Randy Orton. He was a part of Raw. Pick him to go to win the Royal Rumble. Or on the SmackDown side, pick, say, John Cena, right? Because he was on SmackDown at the time. Nowadays, you have to pick a certain brand. You have to pick a certain time. And one isn't enough. One is not enough. I don't give a rat's ass. Oh, well, you have to pick one for... No, you don't! Because you got Raw and you got SmackDown. Pick one from Raw, pick one from SmackDown. That works. It's easy. Okay? You could still win, or you could still lose. Either way, just pick two. Don't pick one. Oh, my pick is this guy. My pick is that guy. Or if you're Corey Graves, you'll pick about all 30 of them until one of them actually wins. Hijo de su. But anyways, with that being said, with me picking two, well, actually picking four, and the reason why I say four is because in 2018, for the first time ever, they did an all-women's Royal Rumble. And to me, I said to myself, holy shit. And the only person that I know that will definitely be in heaven in all this would be none other than our favorite man, so to speak, Becky Lynch. Because after all, this is her favorite event. This is her event as far as anyone else is concerned. This is Becky Lynch's event. She's even revealed it on a Royal Rumble documentary that came out several months ago. Well, actually several years ago. She revealed that it was her event. She loved it. She digged it, and everything else like that. So, with that being said, the Women's Royal Rumble that happened, when it took place, obviously, at that time, and I'll be honest, I did pick one person, and that was Asuka. Asuka was the easiest choice of them all in there. But the good thing about the Women's Royal Rumble was you had some of the SmackDown superstars in there. You had some of the Raw superstars in there. And not to mention the fact that you had legends. You had Lita. You had Trish Stratus. You had Tori Wilson. I think you also had, who was in there as well? I think Molly Holly was in there as well. And I think there's a couple of others that I could possibly remember from the top of my head. But anyways, I probably want to see the Royal Rumble once again later on just to check it out. But anyways, the whole point is, now that the Royal Rumble has two, one for the men, one for the women, now it gives them an opportunity to pick four. So two men from Raw and SmackDown, and 2 women from Raw and SmackDown on that side. So that's 4 picks. So, who are the 4 picks? Who are the 4 individuals? Who are the 4 that the main event has selected? Give me 1 second. I'm having a shot of margarita. Okay, not really. I'm bullshitting. But I may have a margarita later on after tonight. Or make a little ultra with a shot of a Jaeger and the whole 9 yards. Now, the 4 that I have selected for the 2019 Royal Rumble will be, for the SmackDown side, it will be... who could I pick? I had it here, so... Just a moment. So, my selection, my first selection, who I think will win the 2019 Royal Rumble, number 1 is my man, the phenomenal AJ Styles. Now, obviously, everybody needs a reason. I'm going to give you my reason. I'm going to give you my thoughts. I'm going to give you my opinions as to why I feel AJ Styles is the man to win the Royal Rumble. Everybody knows his feud with Daniel Bryan. Everybody knows about how he lost the championship. And I said to myself, there's a lot of people that complain, that bitch, that whine, that moan, that AJ Styles is still WWE champion. But unquestionably, we can all agree that AJ Styles is unquestionably the greatest champion of this generation. I digged AJ Styles when he was in Ring of Honor. I digged AJ Styles when he was in Impact Wrestling. He was the greatest thing that I've ever seen in a long, long time. And I said one day, that guy is going to get into the WWE and become WWE champion at WrestleMania. And all that happened, believe it or not. And all of that happened took place in the 2016 Royal Rumble. Do you remember the number 3? Of course you remember the number 3. In 2016, rumors were speculating all over the place that AJ Styles may show up, may arrive, may come into play. And then all of a sudden, you hear the music, you wonder who it is. Roman Reigns wondered who he was. And then as soon as that guy came down the aisle, going a little something like this, everybody was in shock to find out that the number 3 spot was the phenomenal AJ Styles. And ever since 2016, he's been a champion. He's won titles. He's beaten some of the best that this industry has to offer. He had the longest reign in 2017 and then moved on to 18 to only lose it to Daniel Bryan. So AJ Styles has a phenomenal year in 2018. And my view, the man that should be Superstar of the Year. That's my view, that's my thought. And in 2019, the main event selects AJ Styles because this is what I think is going to happen. AJ Styles is going to come in to the Royal Rumble. I don't care what number he gets. He can get number 1, he can get number 2, he can get number 10, he can get number 30. Actually, that goes to R-Truth, which I'll explain sometime in the near future. AJ is going to go through every single individual walking God's green earth, and then he wins the Royal Rumble. And then after that, he goes on to WrestleMania. He goes on to WrestleMania, and he takes on Daniel Bryan. So while all you futuristic morons think that The Miz is somehow going to main event WrestleMania to take on Daniel Bryan, good match, tremendous match, but it's one of those things where it's there, done that, moving on. AJ Styles deserves to be in the main event of WrestleMania. AJ Styles deserves to go one-on-one against Daniel Bryan. And AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan are going to tear the roof off of WrestleMania. They're going to go as far as they can. And then after that, the Yes movement, yes, is dead. But yes is alive through AJ Styles. And whether AJ Styles, whether Daniel Bryan Likes it or not, AJ Styles is the star going. And while Daniel Bryan tries to be some sort of a good heel, somewhat of a good heel, AJ Styles is good at what he does. And at WrestleMania, we're going to see AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship in MetLife Stadium in New York City. That will happen, but we'll see. That's pick number 1 for the SmackDown side. Now, for the women, for the men's, let's go for the Raw side. Who do I think? Who do I think will win it? Who do I think will be the next individual? This one's a bit of a tough choice. It's kind of a toss and turn. Well, it's actually a tie when you think about it. But I think for the and I'll be honest. I'll be straight up honest with all of you. For the Raw side, I got two picks actually. So I actually got 3 picks as opposed to 2. You know. For Raw, I'm gonna go with either. I went with him last year, and I'm gonna go with him again this year, and I'm talking about Mr. Monday Night Rollins. That's right, Monday Night Rollins. I'm actually going for him in this Royal Rumble. And the other one, and this is something I know some people will definitely like to pick on. The other one, I think, will be, and call me crazy, I think some people may actually pick him too after the phenomenal year he had, Drew McIntyre. Yeah, it's a real tie turner, and let me explain how this story goes. I feel like Seth Rollins, in my view, deserves to be the one to win the Royal Rumble and deserves to move on to WrestleMania. And I always had this envision that if Dean Ambrose, well, he's the Intercontinental Champion right now, but I had this vision in my head that if there was a match between, say, Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar were to lose the Universal Championship to Dean Ambrose, which I don't know how that's going to happen, he would move on to WrestleMania, right? And then we would have Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania. And that would be a first because it's never happened before. These two have been at WrestleMania but never against each other. So it would be a very, very big first if that happens. That's my vision of what I think will happen in 2019. But that's just a vision. It's just an opinion. It's not going to happen. Oh, well, who knows? I may be wrong. And Drew McIntyre, he had a tremendous year in 2018. He was the NXT champion over there. And this is the thing that I love so much about Drew McIntyre. Because when he was the chosen one years ago, he was a tremendous athlete. He had pretty much the same body style, and I'm talking body style, as Randy Orton. When you look at Randy Orton and when you look at Drew McIntyre, their bodies look exactly the same. But their styles are very different. Very, very different. I wasn't exactly a fan of Drew McIntyre when he did the whole 3-man band type. That was just the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. And then he went to NXT to compete for the NXT Championship years ago back in 2012, which, believe it or not, the individual that I picked is the one that actually beat Drew McIntyre, and I'm talking about Seth Rollins. He became the first NXT champion. So now Drew McIntyre, he would leave the WWE. He would go ahead and win championships all over, including Impact Wrestling's world title, because he won that one. I remember that one. And also, he won the NXT championship. Even though he didn't win it in 2012, he won it in 2017. Am I right? No. Oh, okay. Let me write that. 2017, Drew McIntyre won the NXT championship at TakeOver Brooklyn. And that's when you saw the appearance of the Undisputed Era. That happened, and everything else like that. But in 2018, Drew McIntyre had a tremendous year. He comes to Monday Night Raw. He comes with Drew McIntyre. He comes with Dolph Ziggler. Wins Tag Team Gold. Becomes a very vicious individual. And goes after every single superstar, including Kurt Angle. And Drew McIntyre in everyone's eyes, should be the man to not only win the Royal Rumble, but should also move on to WrestleMania to take on Brock Lesnar. Now, and I got to say this, I think it's a possibility, because when you think about it, the fans, some still hate Drew McIntyre, but then there are others that are behind him. Because he's great. He's great at what he does in the ring. I've always been impressed with his work, and I feel that now this will be the perfect opportunity for Drew McIntyre to now shine in 2019. I think Tag Team Gold is a necessity. I think him winning, if it ever comes down to it, him winning the United States Championship would be great as well. He was a former Intercontinental Champion. He was a former Tag Team Champion. It would be great to see him win the United States Championship. I think it would be awesome to see Drew McIntyre either win the Universal Championship or the WWE Championship. But I think a lot of people are going to go towards the Universal title. I think Drew McIntyre will be better for that. So it's really a tie. It's really a tie between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre for the Raw side. I know it's unfair for me to just pick three, but I'm being fair about this. I'm trying to give you guys an idea of my opinion, my thoughts of it, and everything. So as far as I'm concerned, we got 3 picks for the Royal Rumble on the men's side. You got AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre. That's one side of the men's. Now, let's go to the women's side. The women's side, if you don't mind. Let's see. Last year, Asuka was the one that won the Women's Royal Rumble. And now she has an opportunity, to possibly defend the title, because now, the funny thing is, Asuka wins the Royal Rumble, and then Asuka goes on to WrestleMania, and her streak comes to an end at the hands of Charlotte. And now at the end of the year, and keep in mind, around April, all the way down to December, we hadn't really seen much of Asuka. I mean, she had a few matches, but then that was it. I mean, she still appeared in a few spots and everything, but everyone was been upset about the fact that the way they've been treating Asuka, and why she's not in the main roster, and why she's not in the title picture. And I agree with that. I agree with that a whole lot. Why in the world would you want to keep someone like Asuka, who's fresh as a daisy, who's ferocious as hell, and will beat the living hell out of any woman? Nobody has been able to give a clear answer. But they managed to fix that problem in December of this year, when they put Asuka versus Becky versus Charlotte. And at that time, I got to admit, I loved it, and I thought the man would win it. But Asuka was the one that ended up winning it. So now, she wins the championship. She comes into 2019 as a champion. The question is, how long will she hold on to the title? That's a very big question. So, with Asuka being the champion, who's going to be the one to win the Royal Rumble for the SmackDown side? Oh, that's tough. This is a very tough individual. There's a lot of women on SmackDown, a lot that are hot, a lot that I wouldn't mind banging and everything else like that. But that's just me, okay? That's just me. But let's see. Man, if I were to pick one person on the SmackDown side, and I'll be honest. I would pick Naomi. I would. But that's not the person I'm actually going to go for. But I'm keeping that in the back burner for a moment. But the one I'm actually going to go for the 2019 Royal Rumble for the SmackDown side would be, I would, well, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I'm going to go ahead and just reveal it right now. I think it should be Sonya Deville. Yeah, I think Sonya Deville should win the Royal Rumble for the SmackDown side. Now, I'm not saying she's going to win it. That's just one of my picks. But Sonya Deville, to me, when she was a part of Absolution in 2017, she was pretty hot. Her and Mandy Rose and everything else like that. And then they went over to the SmackDown side. And Sonya was still hot to this day. And I think a lot of fans are, most people are behind Sonya just a little bit more than they are Mandy Rose. Now, don't get me wrong. Mandy Rose is hot. Mandy Rose is tremendous. She's good in the ring. Very, very good in the ring. And no doubt we'll probably see a whole lot of Mandy Rose and a whole lot of Sonya Deville. And there's only going to be a matter of time before those two split up. I mean, I see it coming. I think other people see it coming too. I don't know when it's going to happen. If it happens, it may happen at the Royal Rumble. That may happen. So we got the SmackDown side for Sonya. On the Raw side, now once again, I've actually picked two. Because I think the person that I believe will be a part of Women's Royal Rumble, the one person that I think will win the Raw side, well, I know there's some people that are going to be shocked with what I'm about to reveal. Until she's medically cleared, I'm going to go with Alexa Bliss. You heard it. I'm going to go with Alexa Bliss. I really am. Because, here's the thing. We know that Alexa has been injured for quite some time. And the WWE has not been able to clear her yet because of her condition and everything else like that. She was supposed to have been a part of the WWE Evolution pay-per-view, which happened. She was a part of it, but she wasn't in the match itself because of her injury. She did play a role on Monday Night Raw as, I guess, a consultant or some sort of manager or anything else like that. But I feel that if the timing is right and everything goes well and they do medically clear her, Alexa Bliss will come back, and she may possibly win the Royal Rumble and move on to WrestleMania to take on Ronda Rousey. But there's always that possibility, and I've talked about this probably one time, I think a couple of weeks ago. I don't think I talked about it on this episode, but I think everyone's been speculating that Ronda Rousey will take on Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Now, how is that going to work with Becky being on SmackDown and Ronda Rousey being on Raw? You could do one of two things. You could probably put Becky Lynch on the Raw side and then have her compete for the championship against Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. Or Ronda Rousey should lose the title at the Royal Rumble and then have a inter-promotional match to take place at WrestleMania. Which I think is a good idea. Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch is obviously money right there. But I think there should be a title involved. I personally like that idea a lot better. You know, having a title involved and having Becky go after Ronda Rousey. Because those two were supposed to face off against each other in Survivor Series. We know about what happened. I feel like her feud with Nia Jax needs to resurface. I'm talking about Becky Lynch. It needs to resurface because she needs to really put away Nia Jax. And no, don't get me wrong, I like Nia Jax, but I think a lot of people would want to see that matchup first before Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch ever take place. So, those are my picks for the Rumble. For the Raw side, of the women's side, I picked Alexa. And for the SmackDown side, I picked Naomi, but we'll see what happens. But I'm going to go with Sonya Deville. So those are my picks. Those are my 5 picks. Well, actually, it looks like 6 more. But 5 picks of what's going to take place at the Royal Rumble in 2019, starting next year, or starting tomorrow, whichever comes first. Now, I'm really starting to feel a little bit blissed up and everything because I'm not sick. What it is, I'm trying to get all this crap out of my system. And normally, when I get something that's in there, you have to spit it out. You have to get everything out of your system so that way you can talk right, you can speak right, and get everything out of the way. Now, despite the fact that the main event is talking right and speaking right and everything else like that, I'm still feeling this crap. But it's okay. That's how it goes. Now, let's talk about, now that we got the Royal Rumble part aside, now that who the 4, 5, 6 individuals are, whoever they are, let's talk about 2018. Let's talk about a few of the things that have been going on. I actually got a paper in my hands to talk about one side of this episode of the Main Event Talk to get everyone up to speed as to what's been going on. Now, the WWE, obviously, I've talked a lot about that, of what's going to happen in 2019. in the WWE, they had the first ever women's Royal Rumble. That took place over in January. The first ever women's Elimination Chamber. That took place as well. And then the debut of Ronda Rousey when her and Kurt Angle took on Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. And Ronda Rousey did an outstanding job. She kicked ass. She beat everyone in the whole 9 yards. And I'm digging it like that. And then came Backlash. Everyone's talking about it's the worst pay-per-view ever. I disagree. It was somewhat of the worst. And then Money in the Bank, as a matter of fact. There was a women's Money in the Bank where Alexa Bliss won it, and they got her title back on the same night from Nia Jax. Also, SummerSlam, a lot of taking place over there. What happened in 2000? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. 2019 at SummerSlam was 2018 of SummerSlam was the year when the man came up. Because I made a prediction, I made a thought, that everyone was talking about someone's going to turn heel at SummerSlam. And I made the prediction saying that if Charlotte Flair wins her title and takes it away from Carmella, Charlotte Flair would become the women's champion, and Becky Lynch would go ahead and praise her and everything else like that because they're best friends. But then she would have to turn her back on her. And sure enough, she did. And like I said, this is not one of these things that I go ahead and just go by a stinking script and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. She's going to do this, she's going to do that. No, it doesn't work that way. I go by heart, I go by mind, I go by soul. I know how wrestling works. And it worked, didn't it? But it worked a lot better than we all thought. Because Becky Lynch became the hottest woman in all of WWE. Don't get me wrong, Becky Lynch is pretty hot. But also, she's hot in this other way. Because she moved on to Hell in a Cell to claim her title. She moved on to become, pretty much the hottest heel going. But how do you put someone that's a heel and the fans start cheering for her? She tried everything in her power to become a heel. But I guess if you stay a heel and do heelish things, the fans will get behind you no matter what. And then Charlotte. Let's talk about Charlotte for a moment. The fact that she ended Asuka's streak at WrestleMania. She lost her championship the following night. Then Charlotte, of course, won the championship and then had her match with Becky Lynch and lost the title. And then comes Survivor Series and everything else like that. Oh, and don't forget, the first ever all-women's pay-per-view. While all of us were saying that this women's pay-per-view is going to suck, it ain't going to beat anything, no one's going to watch it, all of us were watching it, including possibly one of the best matches that took place between Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch for the SmackDown Women's Championship. It was a last woman standing match, which is still one of the greatest matches I've ever seen. And then Survivor Series rolls around, and then the whole 9 yards, and then, let's see, what else can I talk about? Oh, Brock Lesnar. Let's talk about Brock Lesnar for a moment. Brock, who holds on to the championship since WrestleMania of 2017, holds on to the title for more than 500 days. Loses the title to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns wins the title for the first time in his career. He could not beat him at WrestleMania, but he beat him at SummerSlam. And I'm glad it happened. I'm glad it happened the way it did. And then, of course, everybody remembers about what happened to Roman Reigns, why he had to relinquish the championship because of his deal with leukemia. And all of us are still thinking about Roman Reigns to this day, and we're hoping that when the time is right, hopefully 2019, we'll see Roman Reigns again. There was a recent pic of Roman Reigns that came out, I think it was several weeks ago. He looks in good shape. Seems like he's all right, and I don't think he's medically cleared to come back yet, but hopefully he does come back very, very soon. And Roman, if you're watching this, Roman Reigns, the big dog, if you're watching this right now, fight this leukemia, dude. You need to beat leukemia. You need to take its ass. You need to spear it right through the fucking wall. And then you come back to reclaim what's yours, and that is the Universal Championship. Good luck, Roman Reigns. Now, a lot of other things have happened in 2018. If we have to talk about things, let's talk about Daniel Bryan for a moment. Let's talk about to me, one of the biggest comebacks of the year. I think this is probably the comeback of the year because everything changed for Daniel Bryan. When he was medically cleared to come back, he shows up at WrestleMania with Shane McMahon to take on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Great matchup, loved it, digged it, and everything. But then the whole Yes movement, and I got to admit, as much as I hate The Miz, and much as I don't agree with his philosophies and all this other fucking bullshit, he was right about one thing. The Yes movement went from up here, and it went from right there. You know, up here to down here. And it was only going to be a matter of time before it dropped. And the Yes movement is no more. That's when he won the WWE Championship. That's when he defeated AJ Styles. And that's when the Yes movement was dead. And the new Daniel Bryan was born. And there were some people that were asking me who was a better heel. Daniel Bryan or Dean Ambrose. My thought of it is neither. Neither individual, as far as I'm concerned. I think Tommaso Ciampa is a better heel than the both of those combined. That's my opinion. But anyways, let's see. Let's talk about Seth Rollins. Let's talk about a great year he had. He was tag team champions at the beginning of the year. He wins the Intercontinental Championship for the first time in WrestleMania. He defended his title in Backlash and Money in the Bank. Had some tremendous matches with The Miz. Had another tremendous match with Dolph Ziggler. Lost the title. Regains it. And then, of course, is reunited with his Shield friends. And then, of course, we know what happened after that. And then, the shocker of them all was when Dean Ambrose went ahead and did what he did to Seth Rollins, which is still one of the most shocking in the history of 2018. And I digged it. I loved it. And I'm glad it's going on. Now, I know that Dean Ambrose, he didn't have much of a year, but he gained himself the Intercontinental Championship. He was with the Shield for a while. And I guess the question will be is, what will happen in 2019 for Dean Ambrose? What's going to happen when, how long is Dean Ambrose going to be in? Will we see him in a Universal Championship matchup? Will we see him go after another opponent? I heard his opponent was Apollo Crews for 2019. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but whatever WWE does, oh well. And speaking of the WWE, let's talk about the general managers. Let's talk about some of those people. We had Kurt Angle, who was a general manager, who was a damn good general manager, and then he was taken over by Baron Corbin. Oh God, Baron Corbin. That's stupid excuse for a moron. And then you had possibly the greatest general manager of all time in Paige. That went out so well. And then everybody remembers Kurt Angle was left out to pasture, and then, Baron Corbin took over. And then Baron Corbin made a lot of worse matches. He put himself in matches he wasn't supposed to be in. He goes ahead and decides, okay, I didn't lose that match. Oh, we're starting this match all over again. And that's what he did. And then the McMahons decide that they're going to go ahead and throw their 2 cents in and get rid of Baron Corbin and punish him for all the rotten matches that have been happening and pretty much sucked. And Raw's pretty much still going to suck in 2019 unless something better comes along. Like, for instance, the Tag Team Championship should go to the Revival in 2019. That needs to happen. And it needs to happen at the Royal Rumble. I'm predicting that right there. Now, I think, and I'm going to say this because I can, even though there are no general managers on either Raw or SmackDown, I think the commissioners should either bring that back or they need to run the show the way it needs to be done. In other words, Shane McMahon needs to run SmackDown the way it needs to be. Well, he doesn't have to really do anything, although I do disagree with the fact, let's see, The Miz and Shane McMahon, the best in the world tag team ever? Really? What kind of shit are you getting yourself into, Shane? You're in there with The Miz, who cuts ridiculous promos. can talk like a fucking sailor, can wrestle, sort of, and is a Hollywood B-lister. Why in the world would you want to put yourself in there? We're talking about Shane McMahon. We're talking about my favorite McMahon of them all. Vince McMahon can kiss my ass. Stephanie McMahon, I wouldn't mind hitting that ass. And Shane McMahon is a badass, no matter what. Dig that. Bottom line is, 2019, I'm going to predict it. I'm going to say it because I can. I think Shane McMahon will take on The Miz at WrestleMania. You know why? Because The Miz doesn't have anything else better to do at WrestleMania other than go after his tag team partner. So that's my prediction. That's my thought on that situation. Now, let's talk about the brands for a minute. Let's talk about SmackDown. Let's talk about Raw. Raw, good. SmackDown, better. And also, let me get out this one little thing. Now, I think I still have a few minutes so I can go ahead and ramble on about what I need to talk about. Okay, Raw, one that has followed WWE's Instagram as to who the superstar of the year is, the brand of the year, the match of the year, the diva of the year, and all this other stuff. The brand of the year is what's the one that got me the most. Raw is the brand of the year. Really? Raw is the brand of the year. What the fuck is that? I mean, here's the thing. When you look at Monday Night Raw, it's great. Every episode was tremendous. But then there were some that you just had to say, holy fuck! How did that get in there? Why did you let Kurt Angle leave? Why did you put Baron Corbin in a position to be the acting general manager? It just absolutely sucked. Then, you got the SmackDown side. You got Shane McMahon, who at that time had Daniel Bryan in his corner. But then Daniel Bryan came out of retirement and decided to move on. And then who becomes the general manager? Paige. Paige becomes the general manager. Paige becomes the one to put all the matches together. And might I add, a damn good job. A very good job. And not to mention the fact that she is still smoking hot. And earlier I was on my Instagram and I saw this one girl that looks a lot like Paige. A lot like Paige. Same skin color, same hair color, and the whole 9 yards. And believe it or not, both of them are in the same age. I've told her this one time, but you look a lot like Paige. And she's wondering, who's Paige? I show a picture of her on my phone. This is who it is. And she's she looks nothing like me. Well, she's British. You're from Texas. But anyways, the point is, Paige was a great general manager in 2018, and now all of a sudden, she's no longer general manager. So now the question remains, is there going to be a general manager for either Raw or SmackDown in 2019? Will that come up? Well, we'll just all have to find out in 2019. But one thing's for certain. I think we can all agree when I say Raw is not a better brand than SmackDown. No, it's not. It has not. It never will be. Okay? SmackDown has better matches. SmackDown has better superstars. SmackDown has the all-around best brand. And you know how good they are? You know what's happening in 2019? You know what's going to happen? SmackDown will not be on USA anymore. It's going to go to Fox. We all know about the countdown. We all know it's written up in the fucking stars. We see the countdown clock right in front of us. It's only going to be a matter of time before SmackDown goes to Fox and everything else like that. But, and I've heard this from a few other people, SmackDown needs to be exactly what it needs to be right now and not be some sort of ridiculous comedy show. And SmackDown's doing a tremendous job. And it's going to do a tremendous job as long as Shane McMahon is running it and as long as we get great matches, great superstars, and hopefully, and I got to get this out because everybody knows about some of the NXT superstars that are going to be coming in 2019. Here's my opinion about the 6 superstars. There's 5 that are going to do good in either brand. One that I feel is not ready. Let's talk about Heavy Machinery. Heavy Machinery should go to Raw. I think they should go ahead and own that and win the tag team titles there. EC3 has always been ready. After all, he was a statement when he was in NXT Redemption back in 2012. And then he goes to Impact Wrestling to win their world title and the whole 9 yards. EC3 is hot as he gets. And then he becomes part of NXT. To me, if he was still there, well, I don't know if he's probably still there or not. I don't know, depending. If he was still there, I wouldn't mind if he was the guy that won the North American Championship, or even better, the NXT Championship. But they're going to move EC3 over to SmackDown or over to the main roster. Put him on Raw. Put him on Raw as well. Put him there. Nikki Cross. I love that crazy little bitch. She's hot. And not to mention the fact that if you put her on SmackDown, we already got a taste of her over on SmackDown. You put her back with Insanity, or you put her back with Sanity, and you got yourself one hot fucking show. So, Heavy Machinery going to Raw. EC3 going to Raw. Nikki Cross going to SmackDown. Lars Sullivan. He should go to SmackDown. That's my view. There's not enough big men over there, over on SmackDown. You got to get a big man over there. We already got too many big men over there on Raw. So let's just get that out of the way. So you know that those are the 5 picks that I feel that are ready. But the one person that's not ready yet is Lacey Evans. Now, Lacey Evans is a very attractive woman. Lacey Evans is a good wrestler. Lacey Evans still has a lot she needs to prove, in my view. And I would have been a whole lot better if you would have taken Shayna Baszler from NXT and bring her over to, let's make it even. Let's put her on SmackDown. Put her there. Conquer that division. That's who I feel should have gone to SmackDown and not Lacey Evans. But I guess you might as well put her on SmackDown as well if you can, because I don't see any reason. I just don't feel that Lacey Evans is ready. There's a lot of other people that are agreeing with my opinions about this as well. So as far as I'm concerned, Lacey Evans, she may be going, but she ain't ready. She ain't ready, and all I say is, if WWE is smart, they will not put her on the main roster. They will have to leave her in NXT, and if she does become a part of the main roster, do it till SummerSlam. That's the closest you'll get. She's got to have a lot of months of not only getting people behind her, but also to make her be a big star. Like Shayna Baszler, like Nikki Cross, like something like that. Lacey is just there. That's all she is. She's just there. She needs to make an impact in NXT in order for us to believe she's worth something. That's my view. Now, let's see. We've covered the whole ground of WWE. Let's see. Well, we haven't exactly covered the entire ground. Let me see if we've got. We've probably got. Probably got a few minutes to mention one thing before I go ahead and do the whole Facebook Live, because that's going to happen later on after this episode. So, I want to talk about some of the superstars that are no longer in WWE. So, let's talk about, if I have to pick one person, let's talk about Enzo Amore. Let's talk about him. He was a part of Raw for a while. He was the Cruiserweight Champion, and then he apparently stripped of the title, and then there was some issues that happened with Enzo Amore because of something that apparently happened between him and a woman accusing him of, I guess, some sort of crime that she and him committed or something like that. So it forces Vince McMahon to go ahead and eliminate Enzo Amore and put him out of the picture. So Enzo goes, he's a rapper now. He's a rapper now. I've seen some of his videos, and some of the stuff that I hear is just absolutely ridiculous. It's just stupid. But Enzo, to me, and he's one of these individuals that I feel that he's not a true wrestling fan. Well, actually, no, let me correct that. I'm sorry. Enzo is a true wrestling fan, but I don't think he was in it for the passion of wrestling. I think he was in it more just for the entertainment value. Enzo is a good guy on the mic. Nobody can outspeak him. Well, some people can, maybe, depending on who the individual is. But Enzo, nonetheless, I mean, he made his appearance over at Survivor Series. I pretty much made an episode about that where he showed up. He crashed over at the Staples Center, right? Crashed there and was trying to get his opinion out or do whatever. I guess he was trying to create some sort of publicity for himself, and that didn't work out so well. So that went out the window for him. So Enzo is pretty much out the picture. Now, another individual that I feel that was out was also his former tag team partner, who I'm still wondering how he's doing these days, because Big Cass was a huge star with Enzo when they were a great tag team in NXT. And then they became bigger stars when they were part of Raw. And then when they separated, the whole thing with Enzo and Big Cass just pretty much faded away. And it faded even further away with Enzo being who he is. And then Big Cass got injured, and then there was no way for him to come back until I think it was the day after WrestleMania, I think, when he came back. Big Cass had this great match with Daniel Bryan, and he was pretty much pushed to the moon, and then he was pushed all the way down to the fucking ground. So Big Cass has been out for quite a while, and all of a sudden, he's doing some of these independent shows, and then he looks like he lost a lot of weight. Well, no, he looks like he gained more weight. I'm sorry. And then there was that whole thing with him having a seizure, and that was one of those frightening things that I couldn't believe about what happened with Big Cass. I don't know what his condition is, but I know he's doing okay, and I'm hoping that we see just a little bit more Big Cass in the independents, and maybe he can get himself right back to where he needs to be at. And who knows? Maybe soon we may see Big Cass back in the WWE soon, if he gets his act straight, if everything's okay, and nothing else goes wrong for Big Cass. Let's see. I think let's also mention another superstar who's now in Impact Wrestling right now, who's probably doing very, very good for himself. I'm talking about Richard Swanson. He was there in WWE for a while, right? And then all of a sudden, he goes, he has some tremendous matches. To me, I think he should have been Cruiserweight Champion as far as I'm concerned. And then he goes on to Impact Wrestling and does his thing over there. And he looks tremendous. He looks great. I dig what he does and everything. Tremendous. Hopefully Richard Swanson becomes the X Division champion over there in the near future in 2019. We'll see how that shit happens. Oh, and by the way, Impact Wrestling, as you know, is going to be doing an episode or a live pay-per-view. The first pay-per-view of 2019 is Homecoming. That's going to happen on January 6th. Of 2019. They're going to be returning to the birth of TNA Wrestling, and that is the Asylum. They're going to be there. I cannot wait to check that out. Next week, it's going to happen on Impact Wrestling live on pay-per-view. Check it out when you can next week. And one more superstar that I've got to go ahead and talk about is he was in the WWE. He disappeared for a while. And then he became back to his old self. Talking about Pac. Or you may know him quite well as Neville, the king of the cruiserweights. Well, Pac has, he's now starting to make an impact over in Dragon Gate, UK. He's making some noise, and I think he's winning titles over there, and he looks ripped. I mean, holy shit. I mean, how ripped does that dude get? I mean, goddamn. He had a six-pack. Now he went from a six-pack to an eight-pack to a 12-pack, or a whole 9 yards. But nonetheless, looks good. Neville looks tremendous. I dig what he does. And hopefully, there's been speculation that he was going to be a part of the All-In pay-per-view next year. But I don't think that'll happen. And, I don't know. But if that happens, I mean, that would be something to see. Neville, or Pac, if you will, become a part of that whole situation and everything. So that's going to be good right now. So let's see, where are we at right now? Okay, so we're counting down to the end of this episode. This is actually sort of part one of my year in review special. This is the first part to take place right here in my Main Event Talk YouTube page. So I'm going to go ahead and sign up, but before I do, I just want to say that 2018 was a tremendous year for professional wrestling. Everything that happened with the WWE. I will be talking about the All In pay-per-view on the next episode. But nonetheless, Ring of Honor, they've done a tremendous year. What else happened? Lucha Underground, they had a great year as well. Dig that. I may talk about that in the next episode later on today. And also, Impact Wrestling, of course, they did a tremendous job. I'll be talking about that as well. And also, 2018 was a tremendous year for wrestling. Some was good, some was bad. One thing's for certain, it's not over yet, guys. It's not over yet. We got 2019 coming up. We got a lot of things that are going to be happening, including Homecoming, including an NWA show that's going to take place, NWA Pop. That's going to happen the same weekend as Homecoming. So that's going to happen as well. So, guys, this is going to be the end of this episode of the Main Event Talk, year of 2018. And I will continue on doing this in my live episode of the Main Event Talk Facebook page, because I'm going to continue talking about this, because there's a lot we need to talk about, including All In, including the NWA, including, what did I write down here? Oh, possibly the end of the Bullet Club and the rebirth of the Bullet Club. I don't understand that, but we'll have to find out. So, guys, in the meantime, I just want to say to all of you, live as it happens, all of you that are watching my Facebook, watching my Twitter, watching my Instagram, the whole 9 yards, I just want to say Merry Christmas to you all and Happy New Year. Hope you enjoy your families. Hope you enjoy your year. And I think I said this one time before, and I think I'll say it right here again. Make 2019 year. And before I go, even though it's New Year's Eve, and even though I know there's a lot of people that are going to be doing a lot of partying, a lot of crazy things are going to take place, guys, just to kind of give you a safe note, don't drink too much, okay? Don't go too far. Don't get into any fights. Don't do anything stupid, all right? This right here, maybe just a cup of whatever. But this cup will be the death of all of you. And it's the truth. It'll get you in jail. It'll get you killed. And it'll change your life forever. And this is the thing. Even though this is just a regular soda for me, if it was water, if it was soda, if it was anything else, I'd be okay. If it was alcohol or anything else of that particular nature, I have to be real careful with what I say to people. And you need to do the same thing. So, guys, main advice to you, New Year's Eve, have fun, do what you can, and don't do anything stupid, okay? Because chances are, you may wake up the next day in the hospital, or you may wake up in your bed. One of those two. Or, the worst thing, you may never wake up at all. So, guys, as the old expression goes, and you've probably seen this on television, get sober or get pulled over. Thank you for watching this episode of the Main Event Talk, the year 2018, and hopefully 2019 comes around and looks good. And as I said earlier, this live episode is done on YouTube. But we will have more to come on my Main Event Talk Facebook page. So to everyone that's watching on my Main Event Talk, on my Facebook page, my actual Facebook, I will give you the link for you to get to. And if you guys want to get to it as well, all you got to do is go to the Main Event Talk Facebook page and look for the Main Event Talk. It's actually facebook.com/@RealMainEventTalk, and you'll see it live as it happens. It'll probably happen within the next couple hours. I got to get myself ready and get prepared for what I need to do. So, guys, thank you for watching this episode, and I will see you in 2019, and hopefully everything goes your way and mine. Why? Because I can, want to. Any questions? Enough said. See you guys next year.